Hi, I'm Apostle. Let's fight next on AJ Ministries. How you doing? First thing I like to say tonight is that I want to welcome you for coming back to visit us. I want to thank you. I want to ask you to uh, subscribe so you can get more product like this. Uh, Share this with your friends, and please leave a comment. Let me know what I can do or what you'd like to talk. If it's something that you want to talk about tonight, I want to talk about a little bit about marriage fighting. We fight. Yes, we do. Uh, we fight in marriages. I don't care what nobody tells you. They tell you that you get saved and you get married and it's all hunky dory. You gonna fight. You gonna have disagreements. You gonna have issues. Hopefully, you won't take it to too high of a level. But trust me, it's gonna happen. It's not gonna be peaches and cream all day. Some days that milk gonna get curled. What I want to do tonight is just give you a few pointers and let you know what I found to be certain keys to fighting fair. Because you're gonna fight. You just don't want to do something or say something that's gonna hurt someone's feelings. When you fight, you want to reach an agreement. You want to reach a place where you both feel okay. You heard my side. I heard your side. This is the answer we came up with. If there's even or for that to happen. If in some cases you may not agree, you love her. That don't mean you got to agree with everything she says, and you love him. He just don't mean he might be a knucklehead. You don't. I don't know. But these are some keys to fighting fairly. Um, Now, the first thing I realized that a disagreement doesn't have to become an argument, and an argument doesn't have to become a fight. There's an art to fighting without fighting. Um, Tonight, I'm going to give you certain key points to show you when that argument or that discussion has come up to a point where it's about to turn into a fight, where you don't want to be sleeping on the couch, so you want you want to stop that when you get to that point. Okay? I know. When I first got married, I spent a many a night on the couch, so I know what it's like. So tonight, I'm going to give you a couple of principles and scenarios regarding fighting, and for you to be watch out for it, male or female. And if you watch out for these things and catch these things before they get to a certain point, you can always turn that disagreement, turn that fight back into a regular conversation, and have a nice rest that night. The Bible tells us, don't lay your head down with the audience any man, especially your husband, especially your wife. You do not want to go to bed mad. Trust me. You do not want to go to bed mad or not agreeing with your wife. It's not a good thing. Anyway, this is understanding the fight principle. Now, what you got to understand is by the time a conversation reaches the level of a fight, certain things have taken place. One of the first things you got to realize is that you are no longer listening to the other person. You just want to be heard. Ergo, the fight becomes loud because the parties involved are no longer listening to the other person. They just don't think you hear what they're saying. So you get louder. Um, you know, the original topic of conversation has been long abandoned. By the time she's crying and you have stormed off, if you ask what the fight was about, you can't remember, or it was so diluted by other topics, it is actually irrelevant. Another point of fighting is by the time conversation has turned into a fight, you no longer care what it was you were arguing about in the first place. All you want to do is win. These three things that you find about fights or arguments are three keys you want to look out for. When he starts getting loud and you start getting loud and nobody's listening to each other, that's not a good sign. Or if you're arguing, if you start off arguing about the dishes in the sink, and now you're talking about one of his ex-boy girlfriends from 1904, that's not a good sign. Or if you no longer even remember what his side of the point of view was, all you want to do is tell him what your side of view is, that's not a good sign. That's a sign to tell you, okay, it's time for me to stop and back up. So how do we prevent these conversations from becoming arguments? This is the first key. Don't allow a conversation to get to the point of an argument. How do I do that? Well, that takes a lot of practice and stealth. uh, the first and most important is to keep the conversation on topic. Don't allow the conversation to stray far from the actual topic. Uh, for example, you and your spouse are talking about buying a new car or changing the color scheme of your bedroom. Keep the conversation on topic. If your spouse tries to bring up something from the past, immediately dismiss it and get back on topic. Uh, 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 how well, what I do is this. I always say, well, baby, that was then, this is now. We ain't even talking about that now. Or, babe, I made a mistake. I apologize for it then. Now we're talking about something else. This has nothing to do with that. Use those types of phrases correctly and get back on topic. See, usually if a man or a woman wants something and they find a lot of resistance from their partner regarding that, they usually switch off and try to use something else as a guilt thing to get you to go along with it. You don't pay no attention to me. Well, what that got to do with you wanting to change the color of the dining room? I wanted to buy a new dress or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not in the budget. I'll pay attention to you, but that's in the budget. No, no. That's you say that you're gonna get slapped and then get put on the couch. But no, I found that it's too many times we get into discussions, and by the time we realize it, we have been duped into a fight, usually about something from our past, which we thought was settled, or even worse, something we don't even remember. And that is where the argument becomes a fight. So don't just let it go to that. Just don't do that. Don't take it there. If you're talking or just having a discussion on something, let that be the discussion. Believe me, if you're together 25, 30 years, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. He's gonna make mistakes. Do not sit there and take those mistakes of the past and try to use them as leverage on a new conversation. Now, it's not that's not fair fighting. That's not fair fighting at all. Another thing I find out is about argument turning to a fight is listening to the key change. You have to learn to listen, not just hear the words, but listen to the meaning and understanding about what is being said. I really had a hard time to learn this because men, we just say things. We say stuff and we think it. We don't think it out completely, and women do the same thing. Because you might say, "That's dumb." You don't mean it's stupid dumb, but you know what I mean. And then she's sitting there like, "What do you mean that's dumb? Are you calling me stupid? Are you calling me? Are you saying you're smarter?" And now you gotta go backtrack and try to fix saying you was dumb or that was dumb. I'm don't do that. Uh, uh, I was about 20 years old. I saw this woman in a military uniform. Before I met my wife, she was a very nice looking woman. I wanted her. I wanted her. So I'm cool. I roll up on her. Well, actually, she came up on me and she started talking to me, and I'm flirting. She actually talking. I'm flirting. By the time she got through talking and I got through flirting, I found myself sitting in a recruitment barracks taking a test to go to the military. I was not listening to what she was saying. I was too busy talking about what I wanted to hear, and she was talking about what she wanted to hear. The conversation that we was having for 45 minutes had nothing to do with one another. I'm talking about going on dates. I'm talking about spending time. I'm talking about all this other stuff. She's talking about getting me signed up to go to the military. Like I said, long story short, I ended up sitting in the military barracks, taking a test to go to the military. And I was like, how did I get here? And we do the same thing. We do the same things with our relationships. We do the same thing. She starts off talking about something, you start off talking about something, and you don't realize that the conversations halfway through the conversation, the conversations that you're having have nothing to do with one another. You're talking about this over here, and she's talking about this over there. You're like, how did we get here? Well, that's what happened. You stopped listening. At a certain point, you were saying, babe, but I need to get this new video game. I got this, that, and the third. And she's talking about, I wanted to get these new shoes. I needed this, that, and the third. And by the time you get to a certain point, you're arguing about the fact that she spends more money than you. And it's not that she spends more money than you, it's because she's not a hoarder like you, whatever the case might be. And that's what we get messed up with. We don't listen to one another when we're talking. You don't hear me after a while. I don't hear you after a while. I hear me. You hear you. And that's one of the keys. When having a fight, when having a conversation, listen. Take your eyes off her breast. Stop looking at his abs. Listen to the words that are coming out of her mouth. And if you have a problem with that word or don't understand it, stop and say, hold up. What does that mean? What are you trying to say? And I find a lot of people in relationships don't do that. They don't stop mid-conversation and say, wait a minute, that don't sound right. That doesn't work for me. What you're saying right here doesn't work for me. And the thing about it is when you say something like that, you really make it so that the other party has to stop and rethink what they're saying. See, if I hold you accountable for what you're saying, and I understand it, then that's one thing. But if I'm saying something and you don't understand what I'm saying, or if you're saying something and I don't understand what you're saying, and we get into an argument, we don't know how we got there. You always want to know, if I get to an argument, how did I get here? Why am I here? What is the argument about? If we're arguing. Hopefully you won't get to the point of arguing, and this is why we're having this conversation now. One of the biggest keys that I found out when it comes to relationships, especially marriages, is the art of learning how to give up. When you say, what, give up? And that's the problem. A lot of times we get so caught up in winning the fight that we lose sight of the fact that this conversation that we're having really isn't that important to you or her. I come to the point, and this is just me. My wife can come to me and say, babe, can we do this or can we do that? And being that she is the person that watches over the finances, my answer to her is, yeah, if we can afford it. You show me where we can afford it, or you make it happen. Say, if you say we can afford it, and you just let me know, and I'm great with it. And that's one of the reasons why we stop arguing, because a lot of things that, and I hate to say this, but men can attest to it if they tell you the truth. A lot of stuff that they argue with your wife about, you really don't care about it. It really doesn't. It's not that big a deal to you. It's not that big a deal to you. But because you want to be right, you automatically just go on the defensive and try to win. I don't see winning as being a big thing. I win when we're happy. I win when my house is quiet. I win when I'm with my wife and we're enjoying each other's company. That's when I win. I don't win because I get to pick the movie today, and she has to sit through a boring movie that I might want. That's not me winning, because I didn't win because we didn't. When I win, we both win. I don't win alone. We win together, and that's one of the reasons why we walk as we do. The Bible says, "How can two walk unless they be on one accord?" At a certain point, your likes and dislikes should be out there, and you know what you don't like. You know what she doesn't like. She knows what you like. She knows what you doesn't like, don't like. She should be. You should be free enough for her to say, "Go ahead, honey. You can go ahead and do that. I'm going to do something else," and you should be okay with that. Just like you telling her that she should be okay with it. And when you come together, like one of the biggest conversations me and my wife have about is food. And the reason why we like, I love food. I like food. But I'm not a big stickler over what we eat. See, my wife is the person that she likes variety. She doesn't like the same food twice in a week. She just does not like. She doesn't even like the same food twice in a day for the most part. So we have a problem finding different things to eat. Because she's really, I don't know, like that. So my key to keeping that conversation to a minimum, because we've literally sat for 2.5 hours to the point where we was like, it's just so hungry, we just grab whatever we could find to eat. But it's not that big a deal to me. So I'll name off a few things to her. She'll say yes, no. After about 20 minutes or so, babe, I want this. Let's go get my food, and while we're out, we'll pick up you something awesome. Just that simple. We don't have that argument anymore. No, we don't have that argument anymore. Just like a lot of other arguments, they aren't so important for my life that I have to be angry with my wife about it. It's really not. There's not something in my life other than my wife, children, and God that are so important that me and her have to be at odds against. Definitely not. We're not going to fight about my kids. We're not going to fight about my kids. She knows it. I know. We're not fighting about the kids. Whatever you want to do with the kids, you go ahead. Whatever I'm going to do with the kids, I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're not going to fight about the kids. We're not going to fight about money. Why? Because you take the money, you know what we can do and what we can't do. If I start spending money, I'm going to let you know, babe, I want to spend money on this. Can we do it this week? We came to that conclusion. These conversations, these anger areas, these frustrated areas, these fighting areas, they're gone out of our lives. We come to a point with these techniques that we're not going to do there. If she asks a question, and a lot of times she asks a question about the Word of God, and we're discussing it, we're breaking the Word of God down, and we come to a point where we don't agree on it, that conversation is over. I'm stopping, baby, talk to God. I can't help you any longer. I'm going to go talk to God. We come back together, fine. We still have tips. But even in having a disagreement, I'll go to my special place, she'll go to her special place, and we'll come back together when we feel better. You can't allow a simple disagreement or a simple conversation to turn into an argument that's going to be put a wedge between you and your wife or you and your husband for the next 5-6 days. That's not good for a relationship. That's not good for a marriage. And what I want you to do is, if you learn to use these techniques, learn to listen to her. Keep the conversations on topic. Learn to hear when the elevation of her voice comes. Learn these keys. That judge, is this conversation we're having, is it so important that you should be having this conversation? If once you learn to follow these keys and recognize these keys in any conversation, you'll be in control and you'll be able not to get to that place of argument. Finding peace in your home is one of the greatest things people don't even realize. When the Bible speaks about finding having a peace that passes all understanding, when I come home to my house, it's a place of rest. It's a place of peace. It's a refuge for me. I can go into my secret place. I can read my Bible. I can pray. I can play my keyboard. I can do all those things. But if I got unrest at home, I'm going to have unrest other places. I deal with people all day on the phones and in my job. So when I come home, I want rest. I want peace. I want somebody to hear my voice, and I want to be able to hear somebody else. I hope this helps somebody. I want you to replay this as many times as you can so you get these keys down and use them. understand that you want to be with her the rest of your life, 900 years if possible, and enjoy it. As always, I'm Calvin. This is AJ Ministries. And in all you're getting, get understanding. Be blessed.